keeping you waiting.
Not at all. Thank you. Hello, councillors. Hello, Mayor. Sorry, I wasn't able to attend on the day that the arts were largely here. So thank you for fitting me in today. I'd just like to say, make two points in general. One is about the necessity and endorse the submissions that have been made to you by other arts bodies and by the Arts Council Creative New Zealand, that I think there is a need for the council to address and compose a strategic plan for the arts. And secondly, to suggest that there are various streams of funding within council that could be rationalised into a single area for operational funding. But largely, I'd like to talk about the Performing Arts Precinct and the court's role there, and we're very honoured to be part of that. And it's been a very frustrating process so far, but I'm delighted that last week we seem to have made some significant progress, and Council are commissioning a feasibility study that will precede the master planning of that. And there's a lot of work going into it, and a lot of very exciting work, actually, which is quite the opposite of big project stuff. So we're looking at developing a granular area of the city that responds to the investment that the city will be making in the arts facilities. But one thing I'd like to draw to your attention is the dichotomy that exists in, on the one hand, making major capital commitments, not as major as some, but for us very major, and on the other, having to balance that with the need to be cutting operational funding. And in terms of what that means for the court, the court is by far the largest theatre company in the country. The next largest one is about half the size and receives funding from their city council of $1 million a year. We get about $150,000 from you, which we're very grateful for, but it's a small miracle what's achieved on the sort of funding that we get. With the last time it was measured in terms of attendances, in 2007, the court was getting well over a third of all theatre attendances in the subsidised sector in the country. We're now doing much more than that. Last year was another record year of attendances. Addington's been a great success, but it is only part of what we do, and it's a very limited facility, and it is a temporary facility. We're totally committed to bringing that energy and those attendances back into the inner city. So we've got about 150,000 a year who attend, including 30,000 attendances during the day at kid shows. So that's a really important part of enriching and vitalising that precinct. And of course, the reason we are subsidised is because it's a democratisation of the arts. And so with those sorts of attendances, it really is a democratic institution and we've got ticket pricing that makes it available to large proportions of the population. So the sort of equivalent show you might see where the performers are not paid, they're charging twice the amount for tickets. So we, I just want to make that point about what we are, why we're here. Thank you for your commitment. Express some concern that they might be looking at cuts. Understand exactly the financial situation the city's in, but we believe we're poised to bring a huge amount back into the inner city with your help. And I hope that's a short submission.
Well, that's great, because there'll be questions. I know that some councillors will be a little bit bewildered by references to progress on the Performing Arts Precinct, as they won't have had a briefing on that. So perhaps you could just enlighten us further.
Well, at our own initiative and at our cost, we've brought out what we believe are the leading theatre architects in the world from London. And the reason we've done that is because we've never built a facility for a performing arts company, for a producing theatre company in New Zealand. It's a very specialised area. And some research that came out of Cambridge University in the UK identify the three most complex buildings you can make. One is a nuclear facility, the other is a hospital, and the third is a theatre. So we need some particular expertise, which we're marrying.
You're say it's multi-use.
We're marrying with local expertise, and a proposal has been put up to council who are funding the as you know, the Performing Arts Precinct with the land coming from government. And that was endorsed and embraced by the council officers last week, and we've moved on to the next stage, which is a huge success.
Oh, good. I'm sure that council officers will be briefing us shortly.
Yeah.
Ali?
Well, that's got to be one of the most clearly enunciated and well-projected submissions I think we've had the whole time. Thank you for that.
It's beautiful. It's a joy to listen to.
It was a pleasure to listen to. You talked about the temporary nature of Addington.
Yep.
And I guess, as Leanne's suggested, it's concerning, and obviously it's frustrating for you as well, to now feel as though you're making some progress after so long. Can the theatre stay in Addington for however long it's going to take to get
I
to
do
that?
hope so. We've got to find some mechanism of passing this to the community. It's only temporary in terms of, we've got a 15-year lease, so we're now 4 years into that. I'm sure that could be negotiated and extended. But it'll be a tragedy if we move into the inner city and we have to put that in the bin and return it to the owners in the state that we received it. So, I mean, there is work going on that, but I don't know quite how that's going to be umbrellaed. I mean, these things are not assets, they're liabilities. But I do hope so. I mean, I hope a combination of several amateur companies are receiving. It's a size of auditorium that we haven't had in the city before the earthquakes, and we need it, the one in Addington.
But you can survive as a...
Yeah, we're doing it with one arm tied behind our back, but in the current circumstances, that's fine.
And you can manage that for a while.
Yep. Yeah. Yeah, but I mean, I think that, yes, we can, and if we weren't going to go into the inner city, we would reinvest, we'd raise more money, and we'd try and make that work in the long term. For the company, it works. But bringing wherever we go, the restaurants and hoteliers flourish. So we believe we've got to come back into the inner city too. It's our duty to do so.
Yeah, someone said to me the other day, do they really want to come back? And I said, oh, yes, they do. And we want you to come back. Because, as you say, it's the foot traffic and it's the vibrancy.
Yeah. What we've got to do is to protect the company in terms of, we've got to make sure it's sustainable.
Yeah.
I mean, all over the world, provinces and cities and governments build sparkling arts facilities, and then the company folds because they can't afford to be in it. So we've got to find a mechanism to do that. And that's a major hurdle. So there's lots to play for yet.
Is it true that this will be the only purpose-built theatre? Everything else has been retrofitted?
No, for a producing theatre company. So there are lots of auditoria, but not a producing theatre company on this scale. So the whole thing.
Bang.
Yes. Because we employ, when we had two theatres at our height, we were employing 130 people a week.
And you need two theatres again?
Yeah.
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 And that's a smaller one for more...
Yeah, we're the sort of te papa of theatres in New Zealand. It's part of our mission is to express the New Zealand voice on stage. And a lot of that is new writing, and we do that in our second space.
Right.
We do it on the main stage as well, but when we have the second space, it's entirely New Zealand work.
And you do children's stuff too, don't you, during the holidays? So that's what's making it accessible on a larger
it's all
scale?
tickets, but for adults as well are $10 for that. So
Right.
yes, and that's why we get 30,000. That's why that audience has got to come back into the inner city.
Yeah.
Get the kids in.
Yeah. I think Vicky might agree with you on that. Yeah. Are there any other questions that people have? Yanni?
Clear who's leading the Performing Arts Precinct?
No.
The other issue is car parking.
Yes, you're absolutely right, Yanni. Yeah.
Because one of the things we're suggesting through this plan is to remove council car parking from our strategic asset list. We are saying we don't think it's strategic anymore. What's your view on public car parking around these?
I think it's a critical issue. It's the I mean, whether it's in public or private ownership, it just needs to be there. part of the resistance from our audience is that they love it because they can park at the door. And we've got to find a way of giving that back to them, because they will not want to leave Addington, and they're already saying it.
Do you think someone's actually worked out that having everyone disgorging from the Theatre Royal and the Court Theatre and anything else all at the same time is
There
going
are
to
some
create
flaws in the
problems?
plan. But there are things that we're working on, and I hope you'll see soon that might provide some solutions to that.
Brilliant. Well, look, thank you very much. As Sally said, it's always a delight to have you appearing in front of us, and we'll certainly take those thoughts on board.
Thank you very much. Good luck. It's good work you do. Thank you.
We've got